Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral. With me today are Bishop Robert Griffin, my husband, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Reverend Kevin Tisdall. We are the Queer God Squad. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us.
Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community. There is no streaming TV show like this in the entire world.
In 2026, we are celebrating the 41st anniversary of Hotspots magazine, with Queer News Tonight sharing over 11,000 stories and 11 million views so far.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies. We are proud to announce that Hotspots Happening Out is a beneficiary of the Florida AIDS Walk. Funds raised will be matched dollar for dollar in support of Hotspots Happening Out HIV policy reform and educational programs, including the MSM conference. We invite you to join Team Sunshine Cathedral in this initiative. Join us on March 21st to walk in support of HIV community and along with the Sunshine Cathedral team.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. The Queer God Squad responds to ICE's murder of a queer woman in Minneapolis. The fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis on January the 7th is an unconscionable escalation of state-sanctioned violence. Renee, a U.S. citizen and community member, was a legal observer monitoring the very federal overreach that ultimately took her life. The Department of Homeland Security's attempts to frame this as domestic terrorism are obvious gaslighting. Video evidence and eyewitness accounts starkly contradict the official narrative of self-defense, showing an agent firing into a vehicle that appeared to be maneuvering away, not attacking. To discharge a firearm into a car in a residential neighborhood is reckless and seemingly prioritizes dominance over the lives of the people meant to be served. Renee's wife was said to be in the car with her, and there are reports of a physician offering assistance but being forbidden by ICE agents. The incident took place just blocks from the site of George Floyd's murder and reopened deep wounds in a community already traumatized by law enforcement's misuse of power. Mayor Jacob Frey, in a public statement, told ICE, "Get the fuck out of Minneapolis." The mayor, as well as Governor Tim Walz, indicated that the presence of masked federal agents has brought, quote, chaos and distrust, end quote, not safety. The spiritual leaders of Sunshine Cathedral call for repentance by the current U.S. administration and an independent investigation of this senseless tragedy. We also call for the removal of federal operations that seem to treat American streets as war zones. Well, we've released statements, we've posted on the socials. I put, on the sermon that the Sunday following that, maybe 30-40% of the sermon was about that. And of course, now we're talking about it now. One of the things that bothers me about the world we live in right now is this happened just days after the Venezuela incident.
Yeah.
Remember that? That seems like years ago, right? Like who's ever talking about it? And then, and then that happened just months after this crackdown on trans people in the military. And there's just one thing after another. We don't get to properly grieve or even investigate before there's the new silly tragedy or offensive or horrible tragedy. And meanwhile, remember Epstein?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of this confusion is intentional. I think that keeping us off balance and distracted, I think it's intentional. And when people are so overwhelmed that they forget things or they're numb so they don't feel things, that's to the advantage of oppressive entities. So I'm worried about that because I think it is intentional. I think it's strategic, and I think way too much it's working. So there's that. Now we're going to talk about it. Because we are in the compassion business, we're in the caring business, we're in the justice love business, we're in the prophetic business. And so, but here's what happens when we talk about it. Invariably, someone will say, you shouldn't be political. If you're going to be political, you should tax the church. First of all, we pay taxes. I don't know. There's a big myth that we don't.
Yeah.
So we do. And there are some tax breaks. We aren't meant to pay property taxes, but I think in Florida, the state has a way around that. I think we pay something anyway. And then of course we have to pay payroll taxes. And so the idea that we aren't taxed is a lie. Learn something. And second of all, if we need to be taxed, if that's what it takes to operate and tell the truth, send us the bill. Like, that's not going to shut us up. That's not a threat. Now, the reason churches get the few tax breaks they do is because the government doesn't want to take care of its citizens. And so churches are a volunteer base. And so churches feed people and house people and give people rides to the doctor. And, each church has their own thing that they do. They do what they can. Maybe it's just Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, but they do what they can. They volunteer with Habitat for Humanity and so on. So they do what they can in the volunteer world, and then those are services the government doesn't have to pay for. So because of the volunteer base, they're nonprofit and they get these little tax breaks. If the government wants to take care of every need that their citizens has, as a lot of countries do, tax away. But as it is, that's the arrangement. We are a volunteer base, which keeps them from having to do what really they ought to be doing. And so when people use that as a way to make us shut up, as a way to try to intimidate us into not talking about issues, it's not going to work at the Sunshine Cathedral.
No.
Because we'll just raise the money and pay the bill. I mean, whatever. We're still going to feed people, and we're still going to house people, and we're still going to comfort people, and we're still going, because it isn't political, it's theological. Our theology is a liberationist theology that says God is on the side of the marginalized, the oppressed, the poor, the distressed, the left out. And that is our theology. So we aren't being true to the God of our understanding and to our calling if we let people be mowed down in the street and we act like we didn't see. Yeah. If we didn't bear witness, if we see people being demonized and dehumanized and demoralized because of their gender identity or because of their sexual orientation, or if we see people who in a rich nation can't get medical care or enough food, or if we see families being demonized within school systems, or when we see religious doctrine being put in school curricula while science and history are being edged out. We're going to say that. And that is about ethics, that's about morality, that's about humanity, that's about decency, that's about theology. And if you want to call that politics, I don't care what you call it. And if you want to charge us for it, well, we've paid a bigger price than that to do what we do. So we're going to do it. We've had people quit church. We've had people walk out of services. We've had people quit giving. We've had people threaten to quit giving. We know there's a cost to doing what's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're going to keep doing right. And hopefully we remain strong enough and healthy enough that we can do that. But even if it meant the end of us, we would cope with that and move on to doing what we do some other way. We can't be intimidated by something as silly as, well, you should be taxed. Tax away. Do what you got to do, because God knows we're going to do what we have to do. And so just know that when people are saying, well, that's too political, they should be taxed, and blah, 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 that is just a strategy to silence a message they don't like,
right, because
it offends their politics.
Yes.
Well, fuck that. We're gonna say what we need to say. We're gonna say it because our theology, the God of our understanding, our religious experience, our spirituality demands it. And dismiss it as politics if you want to, but you're not silencing us. And I hope we're encouraging other people to also not be silenced. This is the message, this counter narrative against all of this brutality. The least we can do is model empathy and compassion and sorrow when people's lives are ruined. That's the very least we can do. Don't let people silence that.
Thank you.
The first things that I thought of is a woman was shot to death in public, and people were calling it political. Yeah, I don't get that. Number two. Something else I thought of almost immediately, they said that it was just blocks away from where George Floyd had been murdered a number of years ago. And I actually thought to myself, people of color have been dealing with this garbage for a long time. For a long time. And so I don't know what they want us to say. Of course, we're going to speak up. That is what people do. Somebody's murdered, that's what they do. Now, it happened to be that the woman was a lesbian. She was also a mother. Yeah. She was a wife. I mean, yeah, I just don't get it. There's a whole lot of stuff behind this. Sometimes it just takes me aback. I don't even really know what to say or do about it sometimes.
I think this has been one of those tipping point stories.
Yep.
For the nation. Because I think we all knew it was going to happen at some point. We just didn't know at what point it was going to happen, or we wish it wouldn't happen, but it did happen. And there have been other incidents that's been leading up, and then this explosion. And since this has all happened, the current administration is now sending more ICE agents into that area. And this is not a de-escalation thing that he's wanting to do, the current administration. This is escalate. Let's do fear, let's do harm. And there's going to be another tipping point. And I think the next tipping point, it will not be the comments that I've heard, well, she should have stayed home. It's going to be, why aren't you out in the streets?
Yeah.
That's going to be the tipping point. This is going to, this is going to have a different Stonewall feel to it. That's what this is building. This is going to be an all-American Stonewall movement to take back our nation, to take over our government, and to bring some decency and some trust back into our community, so people don't fear going to church. They don't fear going to church or going to go grocery shopping. They don't have to worry about the Uber driver coming to their home and having to hide out in their house while ICE is trying to catch them.
Right.
So, this is just crazy making stuff. And we have no one but ourselves at this point to defend ourselves.
Right.
And we have to be each other's neighbor. We have to be each other's friend, because these are difficult times. We used to pontificate the what if will happen if he's elected again. We're living it.
Yes, we are.
And so I think the thing that we can do is be mindful of these situations, to send love and support to this community, and to just remind ourselves this could happen anywhere, at any moment, at any time, right now in the United States of America.
Yep.
And ICE is not, people say, well, when the government, somebody tells you to do a thing, you should do it. ICE it's not the sheriff's department.
No,
it's not the FBI. It's not the constabulary. It's not the local police. They have a very narrow mission, and it is for immigrants that they suspect, and they should have credible suspicion. I disagree with the whole thing anyway, but that they should have credible suspicion that they are undocumented, and then they're meant to
follow through.
Follow through with them, find out about that, and take care of that. They have no business telling a citizen to get out of her car, and they have no right to shoot her when she tries to escape that. So, and yeah, I will say that's not a political thing. People think that when you put a collar on your neck, you're not supposed to ever have an opinion again.
Oh,
no.
Not in this house.
And it's not even like a personal opinion. Like, my opinion is that mushrooms don't deserve it shouldn't be on anybody's plate ever. That's my opinion. I'm pretty sure that it's a universal human value that you don't shoot unarmed people in the street.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But ICE has a very limited role, and it has nothing to do with the super well documented citizens of this country. So if the state trooper pulls you over and says, I need to see your license, you better be whipping it out. When ICE does it, you can flip them off. The only reason you wouldn't is because they are unhinged, sparsely trained, armed people who might assassinate you, but you have no legal obligation because they're not for you, and they never were.
So much that we've been unpacking at this table, and I want to start with what Bishop Durrell said. We don't have enough time to grieve an incident once it happens, because we're moving on to the next atrocity and the next atrocity, and it never ends. So we, I think, at some point become just so burdened that we're not sure how to move forward. Still, we have to find a way to move forward, because as Bishop Roberts said, this is absolutely a tipping point. This is a point where Americans are looking at their television, they're seeing an armed militia, an illegal, as far as I'm concerned, armed militia shoot down a citizen, and then you have the government say to the people, you didn't see what you saw. Who are you going to believe? Your lion eyes or our truthful mouths? I mean, it is just disgusting. Somebody also said that the Proud Boys were dismantled because now they're all ICE agents. That's an overstatement, but when you're running down the streets of cities, masked, untrained, shooting people, and this whole idea that this woman in her car with the wheels completely turned away from any ICE agent at maybe 1 mile per hour, is shot through the windshield and then through her open driver's side window twice. How is that justified?
3 times.
She was shot.
And if the car was moving at any speed at all, you wouldn't have got the second shot through. Hello.
I mean, all of this is just crazy. And this whole idea that we as collar-wearing preachers aren't supposed to collar-wearing, shirt-wearing, and every Sunday fully drag-wearing outfits, to say that we're not supposed to speak up to injustice. Y'all forget our brother Jesus. Y'all forget what our brother Jesus was all about. He was all about challenging the societal norms and saying that, no, this cannot stand. So we are following in his footsteps as we were told that we were supposed to do. We are what Jesus did, we're supposed to do even more. So just tell the government, stop pouring gasoline on this flaming fire and start sending in healing. And I hope that I know that we at this table will continue to find a way to get to the healing part, and we will never be silenced. We don't care who comes into our church and doesn't like what they hear. Y'all in the wrong place if you don't want social justice. That's who we are. That's who we will always be. That's what we will always fight for, period.
And that's today with the Queer God Squad.
Before we go, I want to invite you to check out our performing arts series in January 2026.
In January, we will enjoy the antics of actor, singer, comic, drag artist Varla Jean on January 24th.
Then on January 30th, Miss Richfield 1981 will bring her offbeat brand of hilarity to South Florida.
And finally, on January 31st, the beautiful voice and charming style of Ann Steele is back. Lesbians love her, gay men adore her, and all music lovers recognize her as an engaging musical performer. Information about these performances and performers, as well as tickets to their shows, can be found at sunshinecathedral.org/arts.
And remember the Cathedral Pub. The Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts offers the Cathedral Pub experience. The Cathedral Pub offers performance attendees an inviting space to gather and connect with friends prior to the show, or a place to be while waiting for the doors to open. Guests enjoy live music, beverages, and appetizers in a comfortable meet and greet environment while they await the start of their performance. On show nights, the Cathedral Pub opens an hour before each performance and closes 15 minutes before it starts. Entry to the Cathedral Pub requires a separate purchase from your ticket seat, and the link can be found on the seat selection page. Be sure to purchase before checking out. There's a limited number of people who can get a pub pass, so don't delay.
Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Please like and share this and other episodes of the Queer God Squad.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we are all in this together. Also remember, you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad.